What's up, everybody? Jason from Jason's Exotic Reptiles. We're back again, and today we're going to cover a topic of general cage sizing. So I get a lot of questions on, hey, I have this snake. What's the minimum cage size? What's the recommended cage size? These are questions I get all the time. So thought it was time to do a video on this. And for a general rule of thumb, what I like to say is 1 square foot of floor space per foot of snake. So a 3-foot snake, like this black milk snake I have here, would be in something that's about 3 feet long by 1 foot wide, giving you 3 square feet of floor space. Another rule that's also a good one to follow, again, these are minimum cage sizes, is that the length and width of the cage would be equal to the length of the snake. So a 3-foot snake would be in a 2-foot by 1 foot enclosure, because it could wrap, its full body could wrap around the length and then the width, and then it wouldn't be able to circle around, obviously. So those, again, are general rules. You can always go bigger. You can put this snake in my house and it would do perfect. It would do great. There are some misconceptions about a cage being too large, and a lot of them are kind of true. So if I put this snake in this gigantic box, let's say I put it in this 20-foot by 10-foot wide box, I'm going to give it a whole bunch of floor space. This thing can go wherever it wants. That's fine, as long as I give it the appropriate coverage. And that's where that common thing you see floating around on social media or different books or wherever it may be, is that the cage can be too large. And that's actually, there is some truth to that. A cage can be too large if you don't provide sufficient cover and places for this snake to escape. The other problem with the larger cage is it's more difficult to control the temperature gradients of this. So are we heating this cage that's 3 feet by 1 foot long and making sure that the humidity and the temperatures and everything are perfect? Or are we going to be heating this 20-foot by 10-foot long cage just and making sure that the humidity and temperatures in there are great? So again, you can do it. If you can get a 20-foot long by 10-foot wide cage and call it 20 feet tall as well, as long as you can give it the appropriate temperatures and humidity in that environment, then by all means, you'll probably never find the snake again, especially something like this if you put it in there. But or it might take you days to find it, but it's not going to harm the animal. And I think that's important. So you'll see a lot of people say if the cage is too big, it'll stress the snake out. That's not true. It only stresses the snake out if you put it in this ginormous cage and it has no place to hide. It just sees this giant open room, has no idea what to do, it has no coverage, and that will stress the snake out. Or if you put it in this giant cage and then you don't have the temperatures right, because you have this one tiny little basking spot in the corner and the rest of the cage is freezing cold. So these are all things to consider. Another thing to note is that some species and some species in general are going to be heavier bodied. Some of them are going to be slender bodied, but they're going to be really active snakes. So the requirement from species to species might vary a little bit. But if you go on that general rule and you just kind of use your eyes and you say, okay, this cage is obviously too big, or this is too small, or this is a large cage and it's fantastic for them, but I can't hit the requirements. As long as you're providing that minimum, and even that minimum, I really stress, is a minimum, then you should be okay. So again, with this snake, I could put this snake comfortably in something that's 2 feet long by 1 foot wide. It would be happy. It's going to sit up in a coil under its basking spot. It's going to go over to the corner of the cage, do what it wants to do, and it'll have its temperature gradient. The problem with smaller cages too is you have a hard time creating that temperature gradient. So if you have a snake, for instance, this size, and you need a hot spot, and let's say the requirement was 90 degrees, let's say we're talking about a boa constrictor, and you want to create a 90-degree hot spot, and then you also want to give it a 70-degree cool spot, the smaller that cage gets, the harder it is going to be to make that temperature gradient and to get the 90 on one side and a 70 on the other and allow the snakes to thermoregulate. You remember that snakes are cold-blooded. They can't generate their own body heat, and they need to rely on their environment to shift and move around to exactly where they want to be so they can properly digest, so they don't get stressed out and they don't get sick. So with all that said, I don't really know what else there is to say about cage sizing requirements. We can go into a whole different video topic, and I will go into a whole different video topic of a general cage setup. So that's all something that we'll cover eventually, and I'm going to try to stack up these videos for you guys so you can watch them in series. I'm trying to do one every day so I can continue to post them for you guys. Hopefully you enjoy the channel and we'll keep it growing. But if you have any questions, if you have any comments, I do these things one shot, one go, so whatever comes out, comes out. I do miss a lot of things as I go through it. I'll often be uploading the video saying, oh man, I should have said this. And then obviously the first comment is going to be something that I should have said. The shipping video, for instance, I didn't put an air hole in the box. As soon as I turned the camera off, I put an air hole in the box and said, damn, I should have said that on camera. But hopefully you guys can fill in the blanks. And again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, all that other fun stuff, shoot me an email, drop some comments down. I'm happy to help you guys as we go, and we'll keep it going. So again, my contact, if you need to get a hold of me, Facebook, Instagram, email are the best ways to do it. I have a number on my website. It's a text-only number. It is a working landline, or I should say it is a working cell line, but my cell has terrible service. So instead of you calling me and let's try to play phone tag for 3 hours because my phone service is terrible, send me a text message. I'll get to it when I can. I try to respond to all the comments in the comment section. Every once in a while I'll miss a few, so I apologize for that, but hopefully I get to them eventually. I appreciate you guys following, subscribing. Hopefully we're growing this channel. It's definitely growing. We're over 6,000 subscribers now, which is awesome to see. And thanks everybody for following along.